Well, I don't know how much you can see of this and how clear it is. I'm not sure. Needs to focus a little bit. This is where I'm parked for the night. Like the garbage. Good afternoon, travelers. Welcome back to Traveling with the Graham Cracker. This is part 2 of the 3 mishaps. A lot of you watched part 1. If you haven't, go back and watch it. And this is part 2. I'm not going to go too long into this intro, but enjoy this video. And it's a bit chilly today down here in Quartzsite. It's after Thanksgiving to finish out this video here. I wish you all had a happy and gracious and blessed Thanksgiving. And we will see you at the end of the video. And thanks for coming and watching. Without further ado, into today's video. I am broke down on the road. And that, what you're looking at, is Albuquerque, New Mexico at dusk. And I'm on this highway tonight until the repair guy comes tomorrow. But this is where I'm staying, and you see the garbage, it's a mess. Anyway, I was given permission to park in front of this store, which is a tire shop. He said in the field next to his company. This is not in a field next to his company. This is on the street next to his company. Literally on the street. I have a failed water pump. Love's is right up there. They don't want anybody up there but trucks. This is a busy spot, so... Well, my neighbor here's got his horn honking. I don't know why. So this is where I spent the next Friday evening, just outside of Albuquerque. I pulled off the interstate because I was feeling a little wobbling in the front area of my vehicle. I opened up the hood, and there was some kind of fluid all up underneath the engine. I didn't know what it was. I was in the Love's parking lot, and it was kind of an oily substance. Couldn't find where it was coming from. Didn't see any drips on the ground. So I decided to check my radiator, and it was bone dry. So I filled it up with the antifreeze that I had with me, and I took 1.5 gallons to fill it up, and I still couldn't see any leaks. I didn't see anything underneath, anything dripping, nothing. So I decided to start it up. It seemed to be okay. There was nothing coming out anywhere. I'm fine. So I drove next door to a RV repair, and there was a mechanic there. Wasn't really a mechanic. He flat told me that he only works on motorhomes. So, alright, this is a motorhome, but I'm in limbo land because it's a van, and nobody wants to touch a van because a van has a doghouse on the inside. The engine's not on the outside. It's inside the vehicle. It's very hard to work on. So anyway, as soon as I stopped the van over at his shop, all the water dumped out on the ground, and he took one look at it and he said, "That looks like your water pump, because it's coming way in the back." And I'm like, I just had that water pump put in for the 2nd time. So I called around for mechanics. There were none available for 2 weeks. I have nowhere to go. I'm at a Love's. I've got about $300 left. I've still got to get to Flagstaff. I'm broke. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm not thinking. I'm in anxiety mode, and finally got a hold of a mobile mechanic, and he said, sure, we can come out tomorrow morning, which would have been a Saturday, bring my guys out, bring a water pump, fix your van, you'll be on your way. Okay, cool, cool. All right, great. Thank you, God. So I spend the night over there where you saw in the clip, and a semi pulled in and had his brights on me all night long. And he wasn't a really good parking buddy at all. And so if anyway, he wasn't a good parking buddy. So come Saturday morning, the guys were supposed to be there around 10:30. They didn't show up until about 11. They showed up with the water pump, and they were going to do a pressure test on the van, but their pressure test did not fit on my radiator, so they didn't do the pressure test. However, in the invoice at the end, they charged me for the pressure test that they never did. So okay, they check out things and wiggled the hose up top, and water just shooting everywhere. And they're like, your water pump's fine, it's your hose. I'm thinking, oh cool, no water pump, no super mechanical stuff, it's just a hose. So they get a hold of their boss, and their boss is very unhappy because he's expecting a $1,000 repair bill, which we had already talked about the night before, and it was now just a hose, so he's not happy anymore. So he's going to go look for said hose for the Dodge, the 1997 Dodge van, and he can't find one. So he's driving all over Albuquerque looking for this hose. So he comes back with one that was supposed to fit, and it doesn't fit. It's too narrow in diameter, and it's got the wrong bends in it and everything. So he's pretty upset. His guys have been sitting there for an hour plus waiting for him to show up with the hose so that we can get on the road and get going. Now the hose doesn't work. The guys have been there like an hour and a half. Owners complaining that the guys have other jobs they've got to do, and I'm putting them behind, and you know, this sort of thing. So he says, I'm not going to leave you sitting here though. I'm going to fix this. You're going to be on your way. So he leaves again to go look for the hose, and he sends his guys onto the second job, and the guys will come back after he picks up the hose. As far as I know, this guy's gone. I don't know if I'm going to see him again. Anyway, he does come back about an hour and a half to 2 hours later. He comes back, and his guys come back, and he brings a new type of a hose. He brings a corrugated, or a corrugated hose, and it's got the bend in it that I need, but you can bend it. It's flexible, is what I want to say. Now he tells me that this is the new part that is going on these old vans and the old cars, because my van is not a B3500, it's an M3500. Well, I know it's a B3500. That's irrelevant. But he said M meaning motorhome. This was not a motorhome, it was a bus. So anyway, he brings out the corrugated flexible water hose, and a water hose, there's only 2 clamps. It's 2 screws. It's very simple. I could do that in my sleep. I could put it on. Problem was I didn't check that stupid hose. I was so full of anxiety, and this guy was going to come in the morning to fix the water pump, and I didn't even I didn't even see that it was coming out of the hose. So that was my fault, and I didn't have the cash on me to deal with this whole mess. So that evening, when we talked about the water pump, I told him there's no way I can afford a $1,000 bill for that water pump install. And he suggested I go through a company that is like a lease to own, like a rent to own place, where I could get the financing to do the water pump, and they'll put it in. Problem is now we're dealing with a water hose, and they're not going to cover the water hose. So he has to make it good so they'll cover all of that, because he's charging me for the guys' time they're there, plus his time running around all over the place. And I'm going to tell you, you've got to have money with you. You've got to. This hose repair ended up costing me $850. Yeah, that's right, $850 for a $20 hose. $50 for antifreeze that came from O'Reilly's that was on sale for $15.99. $275 for guys' time that they were sitting in their van not doing a thing, wasting time, and $200 for him running around looking for the hose. Yeah, it was pretty expensive. And I think the after looking at what he charged, I knew he was going to charge a high price. He told me that before we even got into it, so I was ready for that. But there was nothing I could do. I didn't have the cash. There was nothing I could do. There was no shops around. As you could see from where I was standing up on the hill looking down at Albuquerque, miles away, there was nothing I could do. I had to bite the bullet and just take what he had to offer. Now, he was kind enough, generous enough to finish the job. He could have left. His guys could have left. He could have never came back, and I had no recourse. But he was kind enough to come finish the job, and I'll be paying on that in 3 different payments to pay that off. And you know, the lesson here is have an emergency fund. Now, this was a medical emergency, is why I left to go to Idaho. It was not a pleasure trip. If it was a pleasure trip, I'd have never gone. But it was a medical emergency. My kid was in a coma again and not expected to live. So it was not a pleasure trip. But that was mishap number 2. Most expensive thing. Now, mishap number 3. After I left there and they fixed and finished everything, I went on into Valley, up there where my property is, and bipped in there to unload. I'm going to unload, I'm going to leave. In the meantime, I had ordered a part for my fantastic fan, and I was expecting that in the mail, and it should have been there on Wednesday. This was, I think, Friday, and I got in there Sunday I got in there. From Albuquerque to Flagstaff, I got in on Sunday, and I was expecting that part by Wednesday. So that would have been just a couple days, drop everything off, winterize everything, and leave just quickly. Well, Wednesday came and my part wasn't there. So enter mishap number 3. Thursday morning, or Thursday evening, I'm hearing noise underneath the hood. Quark is going absolutely crazy because there's something in the van. I go out there and look, and sure enough, there is juniper, little shrub things up in the motor. That is a telltale sign of a moving in packrat. Okay, great. I've got a packrat. What am I going to do with him? I try with my reacher to pull all that stuff out to get the nest out of there, because if you destroy the nest, then usually they don't come back. However, the caveat to that is you have to clean it too, because they leave their scent everywhere. I mean, when pack rats walk, they walk, pee, and poop all at the same time, and it's tons of it. So this pack rat had started moving in. There were rocks up in there, twigs up in there, and all of that in just one evening. So I got most of that stuff out, and then the next day I went out there. This is I think, I don't even know what day anymore. I'm losing track. Anyway, I'm sitting in my van, I guess the next evening, and I'm hearing under the doghouse, which I'm sitting right next to the doghouse. The doghouse is right here. That's the doghouse. And I don't know, you can't see my finger, but that's the doghouse. This thing right there. I'm hearing noises in the doghouse, and I can hear that rat bringing in things. So I go out there. Somebody recommended that you use urine and you spray so that detours them, or you use pine sol or whatever. I used urine, pine sol, vinegar. Nothing kept that rat out from my vehicle. Nothing. So I turned the motor on in hopes to heat the van up, which was probably the dumbest thing to do. To heat it up to maybe burn his little feet, and he wouldn't want to live there and he'd take off. No. That was warmth. And he wanted in there, and he wanted where it was warm. See, I'd been running the diesel heater again because it was cold outside, so I would have my van nice and warm. So the engine compartment, the doghouse area, nice and warm. So he wanted to move in. He also moved in some stuff under my step out here outside the van to start a nest underneath. He had insulation from inside the doghouse and down there to build that all out as well. So Saturday morning, because Friday was totally full of anxiety because there's a rat in my house and I can't get him out, I'm flipping out on the rat. I've got to get out of here because I know he's going to eat wires and I may never get off my property, which would not be a good thing. Winter's coming, and with winter the roads get worse. There's no way I can get out of here. I have no car right now to go into town because in the summer my tracker, or trooper, excuse me, I have a tracker and a trooper. My trooper stopped running and I just left it there at the property to fix it in the spring. I need some tools I gotta buy. So I left. I decided Saturday morning I'm leaving. If that part is not in my mailbox, I am going to order a new one, and that one's going to go back. I don't care. So I went in to where my mailbox is, and thank God it was in that mailbox, and I got it. And thank God when I started the van Saturday morning, it ran, and it drove all the way to the mailbox area up in Williams. So I got the mail, and I left, and I went to Prescott. So I get to Prescott, and I'm thinking, you know, I keep running this van. All that stuff he put in my engine is going to get hot. It's going to cause a fire. I need to open this thing in the morning and take a look at it and see what's going on. So after I got to Prescott, I think it's Sunday morning now, I decided to pull into a McDonald's, take the doghouse off, move everything out of the way. Hopefully the rat is gone, and make sure everything is okay under the hood. So I take everything out, and there is just all kinds of nest material. It took me almost an hour and a half to clean all that nest material out of my rig. So with all that nest material in there, I got it all cleaned out. I used a blower, I used a broom, I used everything I could get my hands on to get that nest material out. And so then I noticed there was some wires that had been chewed, and these are wires going to my carburetor. And I'm like, oh great, because it wasn't running good going into Prescott Saturday. So Sunday, while I'm sitting there at McDonald's, I get out my electrical tape. I tape all the wires together. They need to be soldered, but I don't have a solder gun right now. I'm going to get one and I'll solder all those together. But in the interim, I'm going to tape them. I'm going to put them back together the best I can and tape them together. They're really tiny, tiny wires. So I tape them all, and then there's this one wire that's completely severed, and I took the coating off that wire and bent the wire and taped it to the plug to touch the other wire, to get them to touch. And I put all that back together and left McDonald's, and then got all the way down here to Quartzsite. And that's where we are today. This has been about a week since all that happened. I didn't want to tell any of you guys this stuff until I got it taken care of and got it done, because it's a lot, and I know a lot of you feel for me, and a lot of you are, you know, generous to send your support and your help and all that stuff, but I didn't want to lay stuff on you until I got it sorted. So everything's sorted. Things are running right. I'm close to my mechanic. I'm going to see him this month and see if we can fix those wires properly and make sure nothing else is wrong with the van. So we're down in Quartzsite. We'll be down in Quartzsite for the winter. I've applied for a lot of jobs. Tomorrow I have an interview with McDonald's. I'm not super excited to work at McDonald's, but if I get a job there, I'm working there. So I'll be going down there. I applied with everything else in town that you can apply for, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll get a job for the winter and we're down here working. We'll let you know. We'll let you know in the next video. So right now I'm going to cut this one off, and I'm thankful for you guys to follow along, and thank you for coming with me on this crazy adventure, and part one of the first mishap and part 2 of the second 2 mishaps. I'm going to divide this in 2 videos because I have taped the whole thing and it's just way too long. So I'm going to cut it off in 2 different segments. So I'm glad you came back to see the second segment, and what I'm going to tell you right now is what I always tell you: follow your heart, embrace your dreams, and cherish your life, and always have an emergency fund, and keep prayer in mind when you're driving down the road, especially if you have an older vehicle or an older RV or van. So thanks for coming along with the Graham Cracker today, and thank you for following me and being a subscriber. Give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and Quark sees something outside and he's wanting to go get it. No, you have to stay inside. You stay inside. What's he see? No, lizards, I think. Anyway, thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of you that follow me and keep coming. All right, well, we'll talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.